What is ChefConf? ChefConf is a shared experience where developers, operations, and now security and compliance professionals come together to realize the promise of DevOps and DevSecOps, collaborate with community peers, showcase their DevOps knowledge and skills, share the impact their DevOps automation and security efforts have on employees, customers, communities, and the world. And most important, get to know each other and become a vital part of the Progress Chef community while increasing their knowledge, interacting with the Chef team, and socializing and having fun. And for the first time in person in 3 years, welcome to Progress ChefConf 2023.
Hey everyone, good morning and welcome. Like we said, we are excited to be here with all of you in person after 3 or 4 years, 3 years, and really looking forward to how the next 2 days. First of all, I'm Prashant Nanjundappa. I'm VP of Product Management. I'm based out of Bangalore, India. I head the product management and also product marketing for Chef product line under Infra business unit, which we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But before that, let me start by giving you an outline of what we have planned for you all for the next 2 days. It's a fairly packed agenda, and we start with the main stage event, where we will do an opening session with some of our Progress employees as well as customers and sharing their experience with you all. And followed by that, we have a roadmap session with few demos crafted on what we have done in the past, as well as giving you a preview on what we are in the store for next year. And followed by that is a whole bunch of sessions which are on the rooms all around this floor. There are 3 main themes of these sessions. First is on infrastructure management, and it ranges between configure, deploy, and manage. And it also bleeds into security, whereas the second theme is primarily security and compliance. And the last one is on DevOps strategy and leadership. And these are in addition to that, we also have something new that we have gotten this year based on feedback from you all, that is workshops. So we have hands-on keyboard workshops planned, and there are a few sessions which will be happening in the same time slots. With the agenda, you have hopefully seen, and you know which are your favorite topics that you want to get to. You will see a sneak peek of some of the topics that we are doing hands-on in the demo, and there are many more planned. And another thing that we have is open spaces. These are unconference style. We don't have an agenda. Like-minded people get together and identify a topic, and we talk about what we want to share with the broader group. And last but not the least, there is a lot of food, fun, and drinks in the After Dark event later in the evening, where we get to know each other even better and talk without the mic and be just us. With that, let me invite Sundar. We can get started with the main event, and let me invite Sundar. Sundar, could you join us?
Sure. Thanks, Prashant. Thanks, everybody, for coming in today, bright and early. Really appreciate that. Welcome to all of you. I really look forward to having this interaction with everybody over the next couple of days. I'm Sundar Subramanian. I'm EVP and GM of the Infra Business Unit for Progress. Chef is part of that. Chef is actually the biggest product in this business unit, so we are special. And feel free to reach out to me when we have conversations around the hall or anywhere. I would especially like to listen to areas where we can do better, where we are delivering value, where you need us to think about, where you need us to prioritize. Those are some things that I'm really looking forward to in the next couple of days. And I'm very happy to be here today. At the same time, the more of a conversation this becomes, the better it is for all of us. We derive better value. And I also realize that we have a mixed crowd in the sense that some of us are very aware of Chef. We have been using Chef for 9, 10 plus years. Some of us are new. I interacted with some of you during breakfast. And I think we had tried to craft a content which appeals to different types of people. And if you find something repetitive, boring, tell us. Maybe we can do the other rooms and where you may find better content for yourself. And we are also very happy to understand areas that we want to focus on more. That's a thing that I keep repeating with when we meet customers and partners. I also hope that you learn something today in the next couple of days and you make newer relationship with people in the community. We have kind of missed that in the last 2-3 years. We want to make sure that we reignite that process and we do that well. Having said that, maybe I'll quickly go on to some of the things that I hear from the Chef customer base, from the Chef community. I hear a lot about scale. I hear a lot about the flexibility, how Chef is almost like a platform, not just a product. And when I hear these things, it is not just the number of nodes, but the heterogeneous nature of the usage. And what I mean by that is, it's not just on-prem or cloud, public cloud, but it is also devices. It is also edge computing. These are big words that are thrown out. And just to make that clear, things like, say, credit card readers, wireless cameras, trained signaling equipment, printers, scanners, a whole bunch of these kind of edge devices are being used by our community. I think that is something for us to understand. It is also about not just development and production environment, customer sandboxes, partner environment. How do you work with the community at large where there are different stakeholders with different focus areas? I think that is another layer of complexity that comes. And increasingly what we are seeing is that it's not just developers and DevOps people, but the CIO org, the CSIO org, and CISO org, they come in and they tell us these are our needs and how do you satisfy our needs and how do we work with the engineering org. That is becoming a bigger part of our conversations. I think these are some areas apart from the fact that, yes, we have to figure out how to do the microservices driven transition. We have to figure out how to do cloud native adoption. We have to figure out how to move some of the apps from on-prem to the cloud, which are the traditional conversations. But now the stakeholders have become bigger, right? And they have become more and varied. When we have different stakeholders, their level of comfort and the way they want to interact with the software and the product is different. Now we have started talking about UI. For the longest time, Chef was a CLI-based kind of a product, but now the personas, the users of the product are changing as well, right? And we need to make it easier for those personas to work well, and that has driven some of the things that you will see in the next couple of days. Newer products coming in, new features coming in, newer use cases coming in with UI as well. And these are some things that I wanted to share with you because some of you might have experienced some of these things. Maybe some of you have experienced all of these things, but it'll give you a flavor of where the community is headed right now. And while we talk about all this, the thing that clearly is happening is on one side, we have the dev and IT ops folks and that area of focus. And then the other area is DevSecOps, CISO org, and their areas of focus, right? We clearly see that. In some ways, it is getting threaded together, but the use cases that they want sometimes are different, right? I think when a person in the CISO org says that I want to translate these rules that I have in my organization into actual policies, and then how do you implement those policies on that asset and show me an audit log that this has happened. And I'm looking for continuous compliance, right? So when you have those use cases more, we need to figure out how we develop our software. How much of functionality should happen on the agent side? How much of it should be on the content side? How much of it should be on the server side? These are some conversations that I hear in the community today and in the customer base and in the partner base. And it's important for us to figure out these trade-offs exist, right? And I think as you go along the maturity curve in the DevOps adoption of an organization, you will see that more. Initially, it starts with very enthusiastic adoption and people are very forgiving. But as a product or a platform is used by other parts of the company, the standards and the bar that we have to go to are higher, right? You will see that as the app, which is getting configured, deployed, managed is becoming more prevalent, is getting the scale. The expectations from the DevOps automation software is different. As other products come in, other projects come in, the complexity is more. And as different stakeholders come in, you want to make it easy for others to use the product as well. So some of the use cases will start getting some faster time to value, maybe through UI, maybe through other means like that. I think these are some things that we are seeing, and we want to make sure that we address large aspects of these different factors that we hear from the usage and the customer community. But having said that, the thing that really resonates with almost everybody that I talk to is the fact that policy as code is the key thing that is the foundation of Chef, right? So you can have a CISO who's with us from Progress, and we will hear from him more. He will have policies on what to expect out of an infrastructure and a deployment model and a networking model, and to translate that from their level of articulation into code, which is deployable, repeatable, auditable, readable, understandable, is done through policy as code. We see that, and it has multiple inputs, right? You can have compliance and security as one input, DevOps and development areas are another input to that. So these are different aspects that drive our policy as code. And when you go to production, and then not just day one, but day two, it is policy as code, which saves us in every situation. And I'm sure all of you have seen situations where we needed some saving. So I think it's important to understand that and figure out how we can transform our usage deployment of the DevOps automation stack into a policy as code way of working. We are hearing that more and more, and we believe that is what will help us scale as complexity is increasing, and the demands on security and compliance are just so much right now. And I'm sure all of you have seen that as well, especially due to some security incidents that we are all facing. So having said that, I want all of us to really enjoy this time, get to know newer people, get some new relationship, maybe learn some things new, get excited, get motivated, and that's the main goal for today, at least for myself, and I hope you can all feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, queries I can help address. And with that, I'll not take up too much of your time.
So we will call you again. We want to know a little bit about, I'll take the clicker, about the broader infra BU. And, but before that, let's, we have Dan, who's going to talk about Learn Chef, and also some of our customers. And I'll call you in a bit.
Sounds good. Thanks,
you, Sundar. And I want to introduce Dan. He heads our professional services and education.
Come on.
And he's in charge of all of our products, professional service for all of our products in InfraBU, and Chef as well. But let me ask Dan to introduce himself before instead of
Hi, Dan Choquette, look after services and education for Progress, specifically within the InfraBU, but most notably Chef. I've been part of Chef for many, many years prior to joining the Progress family. So I just want to extend a warm welcome to everybody who joined us today. It's going to be a good couple days.
So Dan, let's talk about the Learn Chef. We had Learn Chef for a while. A lot has changed in 2023.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what are some of the highlights of that?
Yeah, so this kind of goes back to 2018 when I first joined Chef. So as most of you know, we have Learn Chef as a series of tutorials around best practice, how to use Inspec, how to use various aspects of Chef. And we also had a great catalog of live training that we offer customers. And one of the things that always kind of bothered me a little bit was that we didn't really provide our customers and partners and community members with a hands-on experience, nor did we, I think, truly validate and give our customers and partners confidence that they're actually executing what they need to do with Chef. And so what we've done recently is we've taken all of our live training classes. So for those of you who have gone through the foundations class and the automate compliance class and the other classes, we've digitized these classes and we've added on-demand lab ability, which is called Learn Chef Premium. What we've also done as part of a resurrection, if you will, of the old certification, which is a test. You just take a test, you pass it, great. But what we also wanted to do is, again, validate hands-on ability. So that's part of our Learn Chef Certified program.
And is this something that they have to reach out to us, or can they try it on their own? Is it self-serve, or do they have to talk to us?
Yeah, so part of our education strategy is to consolidate all of our learning paths and certifications and progress into the Progress educational community. So this is online, you create a Progress ID account, and then you have access to the entire catalog of chef classes and certifications, as well as other technologies in the Progress portfolio.
And one of the feedback that we have heard over the last year or two, more and more, is we need to be able to train our colleagues in our respective offices, and we want to make sure that they are, we have high level of confidence that they are adequately trained. So can you tell us about associate certification, which all folks here are entitled to get today?
Yep. So the associate chef certification, it is an exam. So you need to know, the aspects of the the light to pass the test at 75%. But we've also included is a lab certification. So this involves running a cookbook, running it through a pipeline, and then we validate the results automatically using Inspec. And then based on the results, of course, hopefully you passed, you'll receive a badge which certifies you as a chef certified engineer.
Thanks. I mean, this is something that we have heard a lot, and hopefully you all will get to try it and tell us if you have got it right. Yeah. We are doing we are making it available for everyone, and if you have any feedback, please let Dan know. He's hanging around here for the next couple of days. Yep. Yep. And if you want to learn more or get access to it, he's the man.
Yep. And I don't want to name this person, but we did have somebody that successfully achieved the associate chef certification this morning. So, I'll send you an email and I'll buy you a beer.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
So I want to invite someone special next, which is Richard Burrito. He is our CISO. He takes care of security and compliance for all of Progress, but he is also popular in his circle. I'll ask him to introduce himself, and then Richard.
Hi, good morning. Richard Burrito, Vice President CISO here at Progress. I've been with Progress for 3 years. Prior to Progress, I was at a company called Simpress, parent company of Vistaprint, popular online company for printing. And Sundar didn't know this, but one of the reasons why I came to Progress was the acquisition of Chef. So just to understand, it'd be helpful for me, who is new to Chef? Okay, one person. So we're all familiar with Chef. And so I've been a big fan of Chef since 2017 or 16. Inspec was one of the first tools, obviously from a security perspective, compliance. And I knew that having a solution like Chef to be able to assure compliance across many nodes was something that interested me, and I saw the development, and I'm still excited about what Chef can do today.
Thanks. I want to get to how you're using Chef within Progress, but before that, let me ask, how do you ensure security and compliance is adhere to that in Progress?
Yeah, so Chef is just one of the very many products that we have. We have probably about 20 plus products across Progress. We keep on acquiring companies, and that's our growth strategy. And scale. Like, I need scale. I keep on, in my team, they hear me all the time say, we need to automate and scale, and we need to do it with high confidence. And the only way I can see that is through automation using a solution like Chef. So since I've started with Progress, I've been on my team working with IT to try to introduce Chef and to do more dog fooding, right? Like, I think the best feedback that we can give to Chef is be our own customer, right? And we've been deploying it. We're using it for our cloud instances. We've tried it for our workstations. So we continue to try to push Chef as much as possible. And it's also part of our strategy with our acquisitions is to deploy Chef as much as we can with our new acquisitions so that we can get that high confidence. So like benchmarking with CIS is really important for us.
And in your peer group, switching over a bit into a little broader topic, in your peer group and in security space, what are you hearing about adoption of DevSecOps and zero trust?
Yeah, well, we got Biden, who gave the executive order around zero trust. I've been a big fan of zero trust. I actually did it in my previous company. DevSecOps, I think, is important for zero trust because, again, it provides scale, it provides confidence, and it gives you that assurance, right? That all your nodes are configured to a certain standard, all your systems and assets are being tracked, and also from a configuration perspective, you want to follow the configuration drift, right? And I think that's how we operate. For us at Progress, we've been adopting zero trust. So just full transparency, zero trust is a journey. It takes years. It does not happen overnight. Whoever tells you they've done it overnight, please connect me with them because I've never seen any company that's done that. But my philosophy with zero trust is to treat every environment, treat every node, treat every network as hostile. But you have to do that with confidence. And how do you get confidence? You need automation. You need scale. DevSecOps is part of that, right? And without tools that can give you that high assurance, you can't have zero trust. So having a solution like Chef or whatever DevSecOps tools, code scanning, things like that, which we do, you can't have that confidence.
Thanks. And any best practices that you want to share with this group, or how security as a product is evolving?
Oh man, so for Progress, it's been a rough year, and so the times have changed. The threat actors are becoming more sophisticated, much more targeted. You guys, I'm sure, saw some of the news with MGM, Estee Lauder. It's not going to stop, right? It's going to get worse. And then now the introduction of AI. That's one of the things that keep me up at night is how is AI going to actually affect security and also just networks and how do we protect it. And so what we've adopted at Progress is, so if you're familiar with OWASP SAM, Software Assurance Maturity Model, that is our strategy to make sure that we're following the security best practices along those lines, doing threat models, managing keys, security by design. But we also just last year in response to SolarWinds, is to adopt SALSA, SLSA, if you guys are not familiar with it. It's a supply chain framework. So one of the things that we're doing is ephemeral pipelines. The threat actors are going to, Sunil Yu, if you guys know who Sunil Yu, he was a CISO at Jupiter One. He used to work at Bank of America. And one of the things he told me and advised me, he goes, look, unfortunately, if you're a company that's popular or has high value, the missiles are going to have your name on it, and you can't protect that. It's very hard to protect that. But what you need to do is you have to have good frameworks, good governance, good best practices, and that's the best we can do. It's my job is not to tout myself, but it's a tough job. But without tools, with good practices and good frameworks, it's very difficult to get that good governance and good assurance.
Thanks, Richard, for all the insights, and it was great having you here. Richard is also going to be hanging around here if you have any questions.
Yeah, I can talk security all day, so please come and I'll buy you beer. And if you can teach me anything about Chef that I don't know about, please share. And hope everyone enjoys the conference.
Thanks, Richard. So let me switch over to another segment where we are inviting some of our customers to share their experience and also share some insights on how they have adopted, what are some of the learnings that they have. Let me start by inviting Larry and Tim on stage. They are from iManage, which is a provider of cloud-native knowledge management platform used by thousands of organizations worldwide. Could we have another mic, please? Yeah, it's coming. So while it comes, Larry is a senior site reliability engineer at iManage, and Tim, lead site reliability engineer. And Larry, why don't we start by introducing yourself and also a little bit about iManage, and how did you start with this journey?
Well, I came to iManage about a year ago at the point where we were beginning our journey of cloudifying an application that we're working with. I've been using Chef in various forms for 10 or 12 years now.
Wow.
So when that was the
Version 1?
probably that was the way that we wanted to get to
Okay.
being able to do our compliance in the beginning of deploying this product and being able to have a stable, deployable, repeatable product.
Okay. And it's funny, when I started interacting with you guys a couple of weeks ago, I thought you started your journey with Chef just a year ago when you onboarded on the Chef SaaS platform, as you were the first customers I reached out. And then after talking to you, I realized that you have been using Chef for a long time. But let me switch over to Tim. Why don't you introduce yourself, Tim, for the audience, and also tell about why did you choose SaaS, and how has been your experience using SaaS?
Well, the main reason for using SaaS from the get-go is that we got to offload our SLAs onto Chef, so we weren't responsible for it. But part of it was our trust in the company and our trust in the code and everything there, and that we knew we could rely on Chef to manage this infrastructure for us. We originally adopted Chef. I mean, both of us started working on it quite a long time ago, Larry longer than I, and it was strictly for configuration management. As Chef has matured as a product, and we've added in things like compliance and reporting, and especially we love policy files for many reasons. That really led to, Chef is the way to go. Also because it interacts with Windows well. We deal with Windows and .NET Stack all the time. And anybody here have, some concerns about Windows security? We do. And we handle a lot of it with Chef. But the SaaS product especially gave us the right amount from our aspect of zero trust as well. We adopted a zero trust model for our platform. To begin with, we use Bastion Access. Everything is behind its own firewall and another firewall, and nobody gets to talk to anything. That also included basically pushing our configuration management and our compliance management outside of our perimeters as well. And that's really what informed our decision for Chef SaaS.
And if you mentioned a bit about your organization adopting cloud, and how you are using Chef to automate that part and secure that part. Could you elaborate a bit on about your Chef implementation?
Well, basically what we're doing with our implementation is we're deploying as Tim said, a .NET Windows stack.
Okay.
That when we started our journey with this, was taking multiple people, multiple days to configure.
Weeks.
Weeks. And we now have this product where we can go from zero infrastructure to a fully deployed stack in about 5 hours.
So if someone
as part of what we're doing with deploying our automation, and we know that because we're configuring it with Chef, that the configuration will be solid.
And it's hardened, and it meets your compliance and security standard. And I know you guys have a very broad experience and with Chef and also in DevOps area. Any best practice or any pro tip you want to share with the audience before I let you go?
Well, I think the biggest thing is automate everything, and everything is in code.
And do you trust the code that which is required for automation?
We trust the code that we write. And if we use code that somebody else wrote, we verify it first.
Okay.
The other part of that is don't treat compliance and security as a second-class citizen. Build it in at the beginning.
Yep.
It is equally as important as I'm deploying an IaaS server. It needs to be hardened. It needs to have everything. Write your inspect tests. Get everything in place at the beginning. It makes it so much easier.
Okay, this was insightful, and thanks again for flying in and meeting us, and also hopefully you will enjoy meeting other broader chef community and learn a few things that I don't know if you will have any, but hopefully there is something.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
I want to invite Joe Nuspel. He's a principal engineer at Workday, which is a leader in enterprise cloud applications for finance and human resources. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And would you want to introduce yourself to the team?
So my name is Joe Nuspel. As you said, I'm principal engineer with Workday. So I've been doing Chef since 2011. I have some scars to prove it. I'd like to talk about working on, the first thing I did was working with Chef 082. That was kind of painful at those times. It was. There's been a lot of things changing.
When we were chatting a couple of weeks ago, you told about the aha moment that came in your organization when you were able to demonstrate power of automation, power of infrastructure as code. Could you share that?
Yeah. So what was happening at the time is, my team was brought on and we were, implementing Chef and implementing DevOps, and previous to this, Workday had NFS diskless servers for the whole application stack, and we were building out a new data center with Chef. And then shell shock happened. So there's this vulnerability in Bash, and that means that Bash has to be upgraded on all the things. So they pulled together this big meeting with all the different teams that were responsible for the different environments, and they're going around the room. And since I was the new kid on the block, building out the new data center, and we weren't live yet, it was like I went last. So all the other teams are going around and saying, okay, well, it's going to take us this long to do this long to do that, and all this stuff. And I'm just sitting there, so I started coding up remediation for it. Simple recipe to upgrade Bash. I test it, get it code reviewed, get it checked in, get it deployed. So when the PM finally came to me, and they said, okay, what's your estimate for it? I says, well, I'm done. Okay, then what's your estimate? I'm like, no, I'm done. It's deployed. All of the servers in the new data center are remediated. So I was walking out of the meeting, and there was, all the people, the crowd, you're going to automate me out of a job. Those people, they were coming up to me and go, hey, what's this Chef thing you've been talking about? They finally saw the power of it firsthand. And
forwarding 10, 12 years from there, how have you seen that evolve? Or do you still see some aha moments or some scenarios where people are like, oh, this was not possible, this is not possible, how did you do it?
So, one thing that I've been talking about is, the growing importance of inspect. And yes, inspect is great for doing kitchen testing and security compliance, but I have been really, pushing this idea for a term I've called operational compliance. And this is ensuring all of the configuration that is off server that needs to be done so that the server can operate in the larger ecosystem of your product stack, i.e. firewall rules. So we were building out new Chef servers on a new network segment. So I deployed a inspect test so that to ensure that all the existing servers could talk to the new servers. Great. Deploy it, looked at it, we had some outliers that didn't. So we had to update some firewall rules. I mean, it kind of delayed the migration a bit, but it's better than having to roll out a change that's broken and having to roll back. So I always say, whatever you can do to increase the confidence in your change is well worth it.
And that's very unique. I think we also struggle to keep that distinction. I think InSpec is pegged as a compliance tool, but there is a lot many more things that we could do. Before I let you go, I have the same question that I had for Larry and Tim. Any pro tip, any suggestion, anything that you want to share with the group? I know maybe you're giving away some part of your session, but at the risk of it, I'll still ask.
Yeah, I'll just say, come to my session. It's 12 years of lessons learned and scars, maybe. But I think, so I started my journey even in high school. I was actually seriously considering going to culinary school. In fact, I even took French so I could go to school in Paris. Spoiler alert, I chose a different path. But I've always looked through, life through a culinary lens. And as James Beard said, he goes, the secret to great cooking is first of all having a love for it. If you're convinced that cooking is drudgery, you're never going to be good at it. And you might as well warm up something frozen. So be passionate about the work. And if you're not passionate about it, find something else that you are passionate about it, because that's what's going to give you the energy to go through life.
Thanks. That's very. I think that's true not just for DevOps but everywhere. Thanks. Thanks for joining us. Team. Okay. I'll invite Stephanie from TAP here. They are a public sector consultancy company that designs, builds, and supports software to meet governance and business needs. Thanks, Stephanie, for joining us. And why don't you start with your introduction?
Yeah, hi, I'm Stephanie Langan. I'm the Director of Innovation at TAP Technology. Like you said, we're in the public sector space, and we've been partners with Chef for the last 8 years, I think. We started in 2015. And basically, we saw a need that Chef had to support their customers in the public space. And we had the expertise and the technology. We also had the personnel available and the access to these spaces. So we go into these secure environments and help deploy Chef and also configure everything and do some training to get these people up to speed on actually managing their systems using Chef.
And that's part of the segment where, public sector and federal, that's the part which we don't get to hear a lot because things are private. And I don't want to put you in trouble, but if you can share some use cases that you see specifically in that segment, and if you can take an example that's even better, that way, folks like me and others who don't know what's going on in public sector, we think they are archaic. There isn't a lot of appetite for innovation and things like that. So could you share some of those use cases where that is not really a correct image?
Yeah, well, I'll give one broad example. One of the groups that we're working with right now is the TSA. And I'm sure if any of you guys flew out here to be here today, you've seen that there's a lot of systems that the TSA manages. And those systems really do have a real life impact on people's security, on safety. So those systems have to be incredibly reliable, and they have to be configured in a very specific way, and they have to be secure because, the last thing that we need is a hack of, an airport or something that's a really critical system. So what we do on that contract is help them configure and write recipes and write cookbooks and inspect tests and deploy profiles to make sure that we're following STIGs, which are security technology implementation guides, and that we're following, basically making everything compliant. And they're managing, a vast system, so it's awesome to be able to deploy your configuration and your security all baked in to many nodes at once by just pushing out to a policy group.
And that sounds like they are operating at a large scale. I come to US just once a quarter or so, but even then I see the scale it operates. Is it that there are a lot of organizations that you work with? Do they operate at scale? And at scale, what challenges do you see? How does Chef help in large scale deployments?
Yeah, well, I guess the big feature about Chef that makes it easier to manage large scale systems is that everything is kind of exported out to the clients, right? We don't have one server that's trying to manage all this traffic all the time. We actually have clients that are checking in on their own, and we also have systems in place where we give them a highly available Chef deployment. So we have ways to give them a strategy for disaster recovery if something happens. So even if like the worst case scenario were to happen and we lose a Chef server or something happens with our network, our clients are actually still running on their own. They can still do all of their compliance work. They can still do all of their configuration work and continue to run that code. And then they check into the Chef server kind of on their own time.
Let me switch gears a bit. I know you're active in the Chef community. And with that perspective, any insights you want to share on what you get out of Chef community and how we can actually make that community more active, vibrant, and participative?
Yeah, I mean, that's like what the word community means, right? It's about like the connections that you have with other people. I mean, all of us have things that we're passionate about, and you know, the tooling is awesome, and I love being able to utilize the features of Chef, but to me, the community is about the connections that I've made with people that are trying to solve the same problems that I'm trying to solve, and people who also care about what I care about, and who have been actually like really supportive in helping me out, and also like making friendships where we can come together and we can spend time with each other in a community where we're all like-minded individuals. So it's been really awesome to step into a space where I feel accepted and where I feel like I'm supported.
And hopefully today you'll make more friends. And I definitely got to know you more in the last last day and today. And likewise, you will get to know more people. Before I let you go, same question: any pro tip, any advice, or any suggestion for the audience?
Yeah, I think Tim and Larry said this, but automate everything. You know, your time is so valuable as a professional, as a computer scientist. Like, we don't have the infinite time, right? So these processes that we're doing that are super repeatable, let's let some computers do that and go on to solving bigger problems.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for all the insights. So, Sundar, I'll invite you back again. And this is the last time.
Awesome,
And
thank you.
Could you share a bit about the broader business unit? You mentioned infrastructure management. I think we elaborate on that and also say how it fits into Progress and what's the growth strategy for Progress.
I would love to talk about that. I know some people know that I keep talking about that. But before that, I just wanted to thank all the folks from our partners, customer community, who are part of this journey, and they joined us today and shared their thoughts. Thanks a lot, everybody. Really appreciate that. And it is because of folks like you that folks like me get to stand on the stage and talk, because your support and your help along the way has made Progress a fairly successful but unique software company in the space, in the sense that Progress is a 40-year-old software company listed in US stock markets for 30 plus years, and fairly profitable as well. And we figure out a way to make sure that we are able to offer more to our customers, and we are fairly active on the acquisition side as well. And given that context, let me talk about what we do in our infra business unit. So this slide that you see actually talks about the charter and all the things that we do. So Chef is a large part of what we do, but we have other products also who do things here. So apart from configure, deploy, manage, monitor, security and compliance is also a big part of what we do. We have a product called Flowmon in the NDR space. In NetSecOps space, you can actually see it being used in customers like New York Cyber Command and others, where you have large deployments and you want to understand what's happening within a network, where you want to detect anomalies and then figure out how to solve for those. We also do more things around full stack observability, of course, through the Hawaii API of Chef and other data that Chef gives. There is some amount of observability we get. We also have a couple of products here in this space. WhatsUp Gold is a network system management product, which is in our infrastructure management BU. It's a very easy to use, simple product It's typically used as an on-prem software. It has agents that you deploy, and you can manage a network. You can see what is up, what is down. That's why it's called What's Up Gold. And you can do more things with it. Something where you don't need a whole bunch of complexity, but you want simplicity. That's the product to go for. And then, of course, when you go to different types of infrastructure, you have hybrid cloud, on-prem, edge, global load balancing becomes very important. We have a product here called Load Master that has actually been deployed at global scale, used by companies like Amazon and others. And when you want to do global level load balancing at scale, that's the product you should maybe think about. And of course, DevSecOps and automation at scale is our favorite chef. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we do in our business unit. Happy to talk about this in greater detail if anybody is interested. But we also wanted to give you a flavor of what Progress does, right? So the thing that you see on the right-hand side of the slide, the piece which is orange in color, that is our business unit. But apart from that, we have a couple of other business units. There is a large set of our offerings which are around data store. We have OpenEdge, we have Data Direct, which is more than 300, 400 odd connectors, OData, CData, and other modern connectors. We also have a new acquisition that has happened, which is MarkLogic, NoSQL data store at scale with AI ML capabilities, which are really used. And this was built a couple of years ago before ChatGPT came along. So this is real AI and ML at some level. Then you have some developer tools capabilities. One of the largest deployments of JavaScript and Microsoft Blazor libraries are through our Telerik brand. And of course, also a web content management system called Sitefinity. Large websites at scale like WHO and NASA use that for doing content management and delivery at scale. And those are some other capabilities that we have at Progress. And all of this, of course, is delivered through engaging experiences, and that's the scale, that's the layer that you see on top. But enough of what we do. Let's take a minute maybe to hear from somebody who could not be here today. He is, of course, our manager and my CEO, Yogesh Gupta. And you will hear from him in the video that will just follow right now.
Thank you, Sundar, and hello, everyone. Welcome to ChefConf Seattle. I wish I could be there with you, to meet with you in person and to participate in the wonderful sessions and all the activities that are planned, but I'm sorry I can't. The Progress Chef team has worked very hard, as have many of you from the chef community, to put together an amazing agenda, which I hope you'll find very informative and useful and engaging. We at Progress have an unrelenting focus on making you, our users, our customers, and the entire chef community successful. Because we know that our success depends on your success. That's why we've continued to invest in our chef product portfolio. We have expanded the portfolio to even broader infrastructure management solutions to meet your growing needs. And we continue to do so so that we continue to address your requirements as they continue to grow. So ChefConf is a great opportunity for you to learn about what we've been up to and to provide us with input so that we can continue to better address what you're looking for. It's also a wonderful opportunity to interact with each other, renew friendships, share best practices, learn from each other, and strengthen the community that we have. And last but not least, of course, we should have fun. I hope everyone enjoys this evening's Chef After Dark event. So once again, have a productive event. Make sure you make new connections and enjoy your time in Seattle. Thank you.
Thanks, Yogesh. And repeating that message, I hope you find the next couple of days useful, informative, a little bit entertaining, and forming new relationships. That's pretty much what we hope for. And with that, I'll hand over back to Prashant. He will give us a more detailed rundown of things.
Yeah, thanks, Sundar.